Happy Wednesday, everybody. I hope that you all are doing well. One thing that I am super excited about right now is that it's raining here, and if you're not in the Denver metro area, you may not realize all of the fires that we've been dealing with up in the Rocky Mountains, and so this is a very good thing to be having some rain. However, the one problem is we need to make sure that it is a nice gentle rain, so that way it doesn't cause any mudslides, because that's often what happens when has been a lot of fires and then we have a lot of rain. So that is very good news. What I wanted to talk about this evening, which it was actually sort of shown to me on Saturday, but I wanted to talk about or talk to all of you that are identify as pagan and or that are interested in paganism. So those of you that are not at all whatsoever, then you may not be interested in this video. But what we need to really be doing right now is to make sure that we are really working on ourselves, for the very reason that we need to actually start working on more harmony within the pagan communities, because I've been in the pagan communities around the United States for 25 years now, and just as with every type of community, there is some issues. We don't have one unifying belief system, which makes it both amazing as well as more difficult to keep everybody going towards a similar goal. So that is the challenge as well as the beauty of paganism, modern paganism. And so we need to work on not having as much contention and strife within the pagan communities, not just, obviously it goes from covens and kindreds and groves, and it expands out to just, maybe issues between these different belief systems. But we need to really focus on our impact, our magic, our energy going into the land. And we're not going to be able to do that just by ourselves. But we also cannot do it if we ourselves, our individual selves, are unbalanced in some way. Now, I'm not saying that everybody has to be absolutely perfect, because there's no such thing, okay? But we need to first work on ourselves, on our healing, in order to be able to react well when we are in a space that we can actually interact in large groups again, because right now we're obviously not doing that. And I think that this is the opportunity that we have to really look within ourselves, to work on the healing of ourselves, so that when it is time to come back together again in larger settings, we can do so without ego. We can do so coming from a place of centeredness. So that way we can work together despite all of our differences with our personal beliefs, whether we're Wiccan or Druid or Asatru or any of those paths. I've been in pagan councils that was a conglomeration of all different pagan paths, and it really can work. It's just that it takes a lot of work, and it starts off with us as individuals. How do we work with other people? And so that's where I was really getting shown that we need to take this time to heal ourselves in order to prepare ourselves for when we get together as in larger groups, and releasing the ego, releasing a lot of our baggage that we have brought from, past, our past as well as past lives and all of these issues there. And it's time to really take it up a notch. If you just identify as pagan, but you don't really celebrate any of the holidays, the Sabbats or the moon cycles, and I'm not saying you have to become, like vigilant. However, that's where we heal ourselves, is using the sacred days and the moon cycles and the sun cycles to connect with the earth, with the stars, and ultimately within ourselves. And so using these sacred days to build ourselves up so that when we gather back together again for those sacred days, we can do so in perfect love and perfect trust, right? And those are pretty important words that we may say a lot when we are together, that we may not really hold completely dear, is in perfect trust, in perfect love, and in perfect trust. Okay, can you really honestly say that about every single person that is in your coven or in your grove or in your pagan community? And so this is the time for the healing. We need to heal ourselves. We need to heal the planet. Okay. We have wildfires all throughout, California, the ones here in Colorado. We have 2 hurricanes barreling down to Louisiana. I mean, we have a lot of different natural disasters that are happening in the United States right now. And then also, of course, anything that's going on around the world. We are not in a bubble. So as when Australia was having the wildfires, then we were also affected in one way or another, right? Because we are all in one planet. So when we connect with the ancient ones, this is also connecting with the planet, with Earth, because these ancient ones are connected, whatever lands that they were worshipped on originally. Now, yes, you can work with ancient ones that are in a different country than where you're living at, but ultimately, those deities are connected. They're connected to this planet. And so you can't really honor a deity without trying to take care of the planet at the same time, because that's where they are connected. It's because they reflect the energies of the land. And also, what I do want to say is, do not make any oaths, like promises, that you cannot keep to other people, but also especially to ancient gods and goddesses. Do not take any vows lightly. Because it's not necessarily that you're going to get struck down. Well, you might. I wouldn't chance it. But it's ultimately that you're just not going to gain their, you're not going to tap into their energies. And that's ultimately what it is about, is when you reflect the energies of a certain deity, then they will in turn exchange energy with you, or present themselves to you, or help you, give you assistance, give you wisdom, guidance, whatever it may be. Okay. But they're not going to help somebody if they're not true, if they're not honest, if they are not dedicated. Dedication is a big deal to the ancient ones, because that is ultimately, it's the power of the word. And when we live in a society where our word means nothing because people lie all of the time, no wonder we tend to not see the ancient ones too much, because the ancient ones, they relied on the word of whatever it is that they said, or the ones that worship them, or anything like that. Excuse me. So those are the main things that I wanted to talk about tonight, is specifically about those of you who identify as pagan, or, New Age, or you're thinking about paganism. Now is the time to do it. Now's the time to start. I know it can be scary being different, but there are actually a lot more of us than what mainstream society thinks there is. And it's time for us to step up to the plate, to really start putting our energy into the land and to healing ourselves and to healing ourselves in a communal sense. Um, so, and also supporting each other, if, if people have their own businesses or they have a trade or something like that. That's a really important thing to support each other with, that you are helping somebody out that is in your community, as opposed to buying something on Amazon or at Walmart or something like that. Even if it's something as simple as some incense at a metaphysical shop or something like that. It's supporting the people in our community that deserve it, that are positive. And that is something that, if you wanted to look back at some of my other videos, I talk about how I feel that this pandemic has really made us reflect on the people that we actually want to spend time with. And so you need to support the people that you feel are positive in your life. Okay. So I'm just looking through my notes, make sure I said everything. Okay. So I think that is it for this evening. I hope that you got something out of this. And if you have any questions, if I write a lot about paganism in my newsletters that I post onto my website. And if you want to receive my newsletter, you always can just message me your email and I can add you to my list. But it's not, it's not a race. It's not that everybody has to become the highest level of the yakety schmackety whatever. That's not the point. The point is the healing, the healing aspects of this. Okay. Are we looking within ourselves? Are we healing ourselves? It's paganism. While I have seen, in many instances, unfortunately, where it's more of a power over struggle, where people are trying to control other people through, magic or just through fear or whatever it is. You can see that in all different societies, unfortunately. But it's in the pagan communities as well. Okay. But we want to really look within ourselves in order for us to grow stronger individually as well as a community. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, and look at, if you are a pagan or you're interested in paganism, you can always look in your area if there are any groups, but do not automatically start joining covens just because. And I know that that's very difficult. And this is something that I talk a lot with, especially with young women, that you want to make sure that you know what you value and believe in your basic core selves. Before you join a group, because the groups, there's positive and negatives to being solitaire as opposed to being in a group of some sort. And there are both strengths and weaknesses in both aspects. And I think that you really need to have a balance of being okay with being by yourself, as well as being able to work in a community in some way. But you can't, I feel that it's really important to not just only do one or the other. Now, I know if you live in an area where there just aren't any groups, then you can, go online. That's another area that we need to really be a lot more supportive of each other, is just supporting each other online. There are many different pagan groups on different social media sources. And once again, though, you need to listen to your gut. If there is a group that you feel they're really trying to control people in some way, or trying to get you to do something that you do not feel is quite right, but they're saying that you got to do it just to be in the group, don't do it. Just get away. Okay. But if it is a positive group of people that are legit, and they are, decent people that do not seem to be trying to control other people or manipulate or anything like that, then reach out and just spend a little bit of time with them. And also, don't go to a private ritual without having spent some time in a public setting with this group of people, because you may not know exactly what they're getting into or what type of energy they actually do, and that is not a very good space to find that out. If they are into something very negative and you're in the middle of a ritual and then you're like, where am I, what am I doing? Okay, so that's why meetups are actually really good. So meet up with people in public spaces, get to know them for a bit before you start joining any groups. There are many pagan groups just in the Denver metro area that you can just reach out and go to occasionally, or go to all the things or whatever when it actually starts opening back up. But, these are just some really basic things that we don't tend to talk about in our pagan societies, because one, either people don't want to admit that there are some negative people, there's predators, just like in any single religion or group of people, there are predators, and we need to keep, be aware of that. I would love to say that all pagans, or people that identify as pagan, are the most amazing people in the world and nobody ever does anything bad. I wish I could say that, but that's obviously not the case. But you do want to take care of yourself. You want to make sure that you're in a safe space. However, and I have a lot of people actually contact me, not in this area, asking me if there is a group that they could join or get information on. I do know, since I've lived in many different states throughout the United States, and I've been in many different pagan communities, I do tend to know some people. If I don't know anybody in your area, then I will ask around and find out. If there's just a certain website and you're not quite sure, you can always just, message me on my Facebook page or something like that, and I could try to help you. Okay. But ultimately, we need to really start doing the magic, doing the energy work of healing the land, healing ourselves, and then once we actually are able to gather, healing our communities. Okay, so that was the basic thing. That is actually a really huge thing, apparently, because I can't stop shutting up. But this is just something that was very crystal clear, that was shown to me on Saturday night, and so I wanted to make sure to try to get through all of those points. So if you have any questions, please feel free to message me. And I also do private classes on paganism and things like that. And at the Pagan Pride Days, the past few years, I've been teaching the Pagan 101, just what the different types of paganisms there are. So I try to stay as connected to all the different groups as possible in different states. Okay. So if you have any questions, please feel free to message me or email me, and I will help you as best I can with that. But so just stay positive, focus on healing, and I will see you all next Wednesday. All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.